Okay, welcome everybody to the Referral Challenge Q&A Mastermind call for Friday, June the 23rd. The only update I've got is just to encourage everyone on live and that watches this later to download and review the Habit Maker Made Simple program, and all the Habit Maker stuff, but particularly the Made Simple, because it really is made simple. It's a powerful promotional opportunity that is relatively easy to roll out with very little risk involved, a little bit of time in terms of the marketing that you put into it, and potentially a very significant impact. And I also want to make one other point. I didn't address this heavily in the materials because I'm not all that familiar with it, but I've been doing some research on Facebook events. And it looks like that is a real good opportunity to leverage, particularly when you're doing something like the Habit Maker that's charity challenge based, to take advantage of Facebook events, because that gives you just like a check-in for charity. When somebody checks in for charity and that goes on their news or their timeline, when they check in at the event, that goes on their timeline, and it just sort of helps spread the word. So something to look at is that the Facebook events. Aaron, anything on your end? Any updates from you?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, great. Well, then let's go ahead and dig right in. Adrian, you've been very patient while we were discussing some other things. So how are things going on your end? Let us know what you're up to and any questions or issues we can help you with.
Yeah, well, it's just been a long week. I was actually just kind of talking to Aaron about it too, a little bit here and there. But yeah, it's just been a really long week because with the passing of Ed, our member, and then also that's still been a huge thing. And a good amount of our clients celebrated. I say celebrated because that's how Ed would want us to remember him. Celebrated his funeral, his passing, which is really hard. 6 of us were asked to be pallbearers for that. And it was actually really difficult for me personally to see him like actually in the casket. That was the hard part for me. So it was a really heavy, emotional few days for everybody. And then on top of that, my admin, Michelle, who had been with me since like the very beginning, had left. So like there's just things going on with her and her personal life. And also just related to, I think she was slowly getting kind of frustrated having to work in the controlled chaos of a small business. And for her, I think it wore on her over time. I didn't see it, which makes me feel like aloof in a way. Yeah, so her and I had a really serious conversation about that. A lot of it started when one of our other team members, one of the coaches, Frankie, and her started having problems, and she felt like she didn't come out the winner for that. So it just started with that, and that got the ball rolling. But so she's leaving back to the east side of the state. Her husband got an opportunity to work remotely, and she's going back to be with her sister, who sadly enough only has like 4 to 6 years left because she's got a terminal cancer that she was diagnosed with. So there's just a lot going on there, like a lot.
Wow.
So it's been a lot of change, and our team's been through a lot because clients are still reeling over Ed, and the team members, they got to know Michelle really well. But for me, I don't know. I just haven't had time to process it, honestly, because I've picked up all of Michelle's work that she was doing and still trying to, carry the responsibility of everybody's emotions, making sure that, I feel like a dad with like 300 children. So I want to make sure that everybody's safe. But yeah, it's been hard. But still, in these times, I always find a way to get back on track, and I know I will. So the most important thing, actually, I know I'm going to like change the tone of the conversation here a little bit, but the most important thing that I'm actually still hung up on, still to this day, is like facing rejection in sales. And it's really hard for me to talk about it, actually, because it's always been part of, I guess, like my career, my professional career has always been having a really hard time dealing with people saying no when I'm asking for them to, obviously make a commitment, And so I guess it's a lot of like the mindset that I have, but I don't know, because I've never really been able to ever salvage you know, a relationship. I never like using the word sale, but I always say relationship. Like, I've never been able to get a person to commit to themselves if I've ever gotten a no before. And yeah, for me, it's still like devastating to hear that from people. So I guess like
Wait, say that again, Adrian, because I'm not clear on what you mean by that last bit.
So basically, if I ask somebody for like which membership option they'd want to continue on, and they say they either can't afford it or any objection, really, like anything, can't afford it, got to think about it, got to talk to somebody about it, whatever. For the most part, I've gotten really good at communicating my way around facing rejections. But for some reason, I still get hung up on that no. Like, no matter what form the no is, I still get hung up on it. So I just wonder, like, why that is, or if you had any like advice on like how to not let that like kind of get my nerves going, you know?
Yeah, and that is a challenging thing, especially for people like us, like you, and because you're very much like me. You wear your heart on your sleeve, and rejection, even when it's you understand you're in a sales environment and that you have to fight through that to some degree, it still takes a toll and can take you off track. That was a challenge for me when I was younger as well. And I think, as you said, it's about mindset, and it's because you have to calm yourself. If you're not calm, you're not focused, and if you're not focused, you're not able to utilize the intelligence and the vocabulary that you have in order to persuade someone. So it is challenging, but let's get some feedback on that from others in the group. Rick, you got any advice?
I think you're just going to have to realize, Adrian, that you're not going to be a good fit for anybody. And if they're saying no, that typically means you haven't figured out, you haven't answered or provided the solution for some pain point for them. And so the no usually comes from the conversation you had prior to asking for the sale. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit more in your early engagement and aligning with them, you know, and hearing about them, asking those questions that you find where their real pain points are, and then addressing them. Because if you address them, their pain points, the no's aren't going to come as frequent. And a lot of times, you know, it depends on also what that no is. I mean, a lot of times, like my people, when they come to talk to me, they already know what the price is before I even sit down with them. So there's no reason that should even come into play. Well, I have to think about it. I can't afford it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, let's face it, your time's valuable. And that's kind of the way I look at it, is that time I want it to be with people who already understands what the investment's going to be. And I just have to make sure that I've addressed all of their pain points to move them to commit to letting me help them.
Right.
Let me add something too. You know, my older brother is a Navy pilot, and he's not just any Navy pilot. He was pilot of the year, and he's just a fantastic pilot. I mean, world class. So I've talked to him about, and my grandfather also was a Navy pilot, and I've talked to both of them about what makes a great pilot, and both of them universally said, first and foremost, it was confidence. And you've got to be confident, because there's life and death situations occur in an instant, and if you're not confident, you freak out and you don't react properly and you die, and you can kill other people too. So it's the confidence issue. But and I was like, well, what gives you that confidence? And Mike, my brother, and my grandfather both agreed that it was repetition. It was practice. It was just getting really, really good. They're both naturals. They both have awesome hand-eye coordination. There's certain things there, but it's also just getting the time in, being a really good student. So I mentioned this to you because one of the things that helped me a lot in sales, when I was the first, I sold a lot of different things. One of the things that I sold that was very high ticket was I sold pianos for a long period of time. Well, not too long, a little less than a year. I don't play a lick. I'm not a musician at all, but I was the #1 sales guy at this place called the Piano Shop. And we were selling high ticket items, and we didn't get a whole lot of leads. So every lead was important. And it would freak me out when I would get a no, and I struggled with and so the woman who owned the shop, Phyllis, who was like a mentor to me, she's an outstanding salesperson. She was like, listen, here's what you need to do. We're going to drill on the specific objections, what they are, because there's usually only about a handful. There's 5 or 6 very common objections that you hear over and over. And what I want you to do is work on, #1, understanding what they are. #2, how to transition once you hear the objection, how to transition from it. And #3, memorizing the vocabulary, the words that you use, the language, I should say, that you use to overcome the objection. So you're ready for the objection because you know there's only a handful. You've got to transition. So you hear the objection and you say, Mr. Smith or Bob or whoever, I hear what you're saying and I understand what you're saying, and I'd like you to consider this. So that's a transition. Then you go into how you're going to overcome that objection. And this should be memorized. It should be something that you've committed to memory. That way, that gives you the confidence and it removes the emotion from it. You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
So did you ever, when you did some NPE stuff, as I recall, Adrian, after I left, is that right? Did you ever do auto closer?
Yeah, but I don't know, it never really worked well.
Yeah, you got the watered down version probably. But anyway, when we first created it, we built out all these scripts and everything for it. I don't know if you've got any of those, but what I suggest you do is talk to Camelia about it, because she's an expert at this stuff, and have her help you work on those common objections, the transitions, and then the language that you use to overcome them. And then just once you commit it to memory, it becomes automatic. It takes the emotion out of it. You become more confident as a result. And because that's the thing, once you start hearing it come out of your mouth and you know it sounds right, that in and of itself makes you confident.
Yeah.
Does that sound like that would be helpful to you, or am I missing something? Because I might be.
I think it does. I just think that helps, but it's still the fact that I just wonder why I get so hung up on a no, I guess, like me personally, you know what I mean? Like, even if I have things memorized and there's a process for it, I still don't know why I get so emotional over hearing that, It's
personal rejection. And I think that's the thing. I mean, this is my take on it, but nobody likes it. You just have to get used to it. The only way to get used to it is to get at bats, get those reps and steel yourself to it. And I think that's the process for steeling yourself, what I just described. But, I think #1, you're aware that this is an issue that you have to deal with. So there's some mindset stuff that you got to work with. And I think Camelia is the person to really help you with that. I mean, we'll certainly give you some tips and things like that, but there's a deeper thing there. And I can relate. I have it too. I've just found a way through it.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, first of all, anybody else want to add anything to that? Aaron, Wayne? Yeah, Wayne, go ahead.
Hey, guys. Actually, Adrian, I'm surprised. That sounded more like what I would say, wearing my heart on my sleeve. You come across really confident, and I wouldn't expect you to say, and this is a compliment, I didn't expect you to come across and say something like that, because you sound really confident in everything that you say and do. So I hope that helps. But some things that you can use, we both have a fit body and franchise. You use the money back guarantee, the 30-day money back guarantee. Does that help any?
I've revamped mine to have an entire package investment. So that way, for the whole thing. Uh-huh. So I took the 30-day money back guarantee and spread it out for the entire program.
Okay. Well, I thought that might help.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sure you heard of Feel Felt Found. You heard of that before?
No, I haven't.
When someone
you cut out. You mean Feel Felt Found?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And because if that price objection comes up, You can tell them that someone else in their situation felt the same way, and this is what they found out. Instead of you found out, you can tell them what somebody else found out. And also, you've probably heard Cable McEllery,
Yeah.
the Fit Body owner. He talks about training his salespeople to act like that. The people they're talking to, if they don't get them to join, it's radical, but if they don't join, that they're going to have a heart attack and die next week. Have you heard that before?
No, I haven't.
I mean, it's a little radical, but once you understand and believe that what we do really can change lives, and that they need it in their life, and that if they don't do it, that nothing else in town is going to do for them what you can do. And I think you do believe that. It's just that you and I both have a problem in getting that across to people.
Yeah.
But that's all I had to say. I'm sure you guys have a lot more to say than I do.
No, that's great stuff, Wayne. That the feel felt stuff is awesome, and the moral obligation, which is what you're referring to, that's how I refer to it, at least. Jay Abraham talks a lot about that, and it's and I think that is the way to think about your services. And thankfully, you're in a business where that absolutely applies. You are providing a life-changing, potentially life-saving service, and you can really get behind that. Obviously, you can't beat people up with that type of information, but what it does is it gives you a lot of confidence in terms of helping you get past those no's, because the most successful salespeople I've ever met recognize that they got to get past the no, because no's happen and they're unavoidable. You've got to get beyond them.
And there is one thing much, much worse than a no. It's the no man's land of maybe. Let me think about it.
Yeah.
That is the worst place to land. So no's are at least overcomable. You can at least come back and say, well, I appreciate your candor. Can I ask you why?
Yeah.
And readdress the conversation. But the moment they say, well, I need to go home and think about it. My husband tells me I can't make a decision here today. Right? If you've never heard that, brace yourself, because it won't be far from this conversation. And but if someone says no, you can re-engage. And the great salespeople of the world will tell you that no is not a no. It's just an objection to see if what you've got can overcome their initial no. And then the average close happens after 7 or 8 no's, right? And those come in all different forms. They might come up in an objection, it may not be a no, but ultimately, bottom line is, if, much to Rick's point, if they already know the plans, if you already know, but through your Facebook advertising, that you've got the right household income, and if they take their time to show up at your facility, they've said no to everybody else and said yes to you to walk through your door, right? Because they've eliminated everyone else to show up in your house. It's just a matter now of helping them, get to that yes.
Yeah, and it sounds like you have a pretty good understanding of the tactical stuff when it comes to sales. I think this is all very helpful, what we're discussing here, but really we're discussing tactics, and ultimately the issue with you, it seems, is more strategic. It's a bigger issue that is mindset. Yeah,
because and the thing about it too is, like, I don't not have a track record. Like, in the first 5.5 months of opening, I closed 200 people. It's like, I can do it. Just don't know why I get hung up on it all the time. It's really frustrating for me personally.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating.
Here's the good news is, the first step in solving any problem is being aware of the problem, and you are aware of it. So now it's about finding solutions. I understand that. And I think that you hit on it yourself. I think you know what the solution, or at least the area, the direction you need to go to find that solution. And it comes down to there's something going on. And I've talked to a lot of people, different people who are much smarter than I am about human psychology, and they tell me, and I tend to believe it, that all our shit that we deal with, and we all got it, we all got shit, it's all rooted in some childhood experience. It's family-based, generally childhood-based experience. I know I've discovered through my own journey of personal development and doing things with different people, I've learned how hung up I was, and I didn't even know it. Until you start digging in and finding out what these things are, it's difficult to deal with them. It's difficult to find those solutions. So I think you have to dig into that a little bit, mindset-related stuff. And Camellia, like I said, can point you to a lot of good resources that would be helpful to you.
And I think there's a positive in the issue you're having, Adrian. The fact that you realize it means that take it and use it when you get that no and somebody doesn't sign up, to sit down and reevaluate yourself, okay? And that's what I used to do too. I used to be kind of same thing, and I started thinking, okay, no means not right now. That's the first thing in my mind. And so if somebody walked up and didn't sign up, it's real easy to dismiss it and say, okay, make an excuse for it. Instead, I sat down and started thinking, where did I miss? What did I do wrong? And then it opens your eyes to start paying a little bit more attention to the little things that they're saying, the little idiosyncrasies about how their body language when they're talking about certain things. And that opened it up a lot more to me. And anymore, I pay more attention to the way they're acting and the little things they're doing than not always what they're saying. And it's really helped me a lot, because I started paying closer attention. Is what I realized, that I was getting no because I wasn't paying attention to what they really needed. And that gets back to what Aaron was saying. They came there, they ignored everybody else to come sit down in front of me. So I started thinking I dropped the ball on them, instead of thinking, oh, they weren't going to join, or they were just kicking tires. I realized, well, they came here for a reason, so they were serious enough about it to show up. What did I miss in that conversation? And then it started making me a little bit more aware when I was sitting down in front of me.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And another tactical thing that I'll mention, just because it's personally worked really well for me in one-on-one sales, is as I got a little bit more confidence and more experience in selling, if I did hit hard no's repeatedly, I would sometimes just say something like, I hear what you're saying, and I understand, your reasons right now, but can you just, for me, it's very difficult to accept this, because I know I have such a great solution, whatever it may be. And so I'm not trying to push you anymore. I just want, if you could just help me to know more, can you just explain a little bit more? And even though you've said you heard them and you said you understand them, you're just trying to peel the onion again, and also showing a little bit of
passion.
Yeah, thank you. And also, what's the other word? You're showing a little bit of
humility.
Humility, thanks. Yeah, that way. And just getting them to open up, because then that's what that does, is it creates a strong bond, a relationship bond. They see you not as a salesperson, but more as a person, and will have a tendency to really, give you the ammunition that you need, or just flip the switch right there and go, well, I don't, maybe I do need to join, or maybe I do need this, and just sort of change their mind. So it's a tactical thing. It requires a little bit of work to do, but just showing your humanness, I guess. And
yeah, and that's another thing too, because with that, because I'm like, I understand exactly how I can help people, and because of that, I have a tendency somewhat to ask questions in a way that can make people defensive, or that can make them feel like then they have to support their own position against me. but a lot of that comes from my passion. Kind of, it's not necessarily like passion for the service. It's almost my passion to help this person. And I feel like they're making a mistake by not just like signing up, you know. That's the hard part for me. The hard part for me is to try and understand, okay, look, this person didn't sign up, but now I'm like upset by that. So how am I going to get this person to be real with me in a way?
Well,
you know?
Let me ask you something then. In terms of your sales process, do you like two of the questions that I like a lot, and usually at the very beginning of the sales process is, what have you done? Okay, we've established you have this issue. So what have you done to try and resolve the issue, and how has that worked for you? Because so that usually sets up all the problems and gives you the ammunition you need to come back.
Yeah. And typically I add to that, like, what's been stopping you from getting there, what's been stopping you from reaching your goals. So yeah. And
so where do they get defensive on you?
It's just the way that I ask my questions.
Okay.
It's the way I do it,
Yeah.
Like almost as if like, well, like, okay, like Jody, like you told me that, if you don't get back in shape, you're going to have, problems with diabetes and issues with that. And you really want to take care of yourself. So how is 127 a month? How is 147 a month not worth it to you? Like I tend to ask those kind of questions. And in that way, then the person feels like, okay, now I got to back up and tell this kid why I have to not afford it. But it's the way that I ask the questions. It's really hard for me to handle somebody saying no to me and just be like, okay, all right, I understand, because I don't understand.
Right. And you shouldn't understand. I mean, you should understand, but you shouldn't allow that to interfere.
Yeah. And I'm still very much in the mentality of one of us is being sold. Like either I sell them or they sell me. I sell them on the service or they sell me on their excuses. I'm not a fan of that mentality, but it still wraps my mind around it every time. I don't know how to get out of that, but that's why I feel that way.
Well, I frankly, I think, I'm all about let's get the rat shit out of the rice. And when you get right down to it, what you just said is exactly right. That's exactly what's happening. It's either you're selling them or they're selling you.
That kind of, for me, that never works. That, for me, that sensibility is offensive. I'm a consultant. I'm here to help you. And if I can, we're going to bless you. And if we can't, we'll direct you in a way that we can help.
Yeah.
Right? But, the hardcore sales world teaches just that very thing. But you can't win me that way. If I, for a moment, feel that I am being pushed into a corner, I'm going to become defensive because here's human nature, right? I love to buy, but man, I hate to be sold. I hate it, right? You persuade me, we're good to go. You seduce me, I'm all about it. You push me, I'll push back.
And I 100% agree with what you just said, but I think what you're doing is breaking, Aaron, what you're doing, in my opinion, is breaking it down. You're being semantically. I'm saying that philosophically and realistically, at the end of the day, at the end of that sales presentation, either you have gotten a commitment from them or they have gotten a commitment from you to give up on trying to get a commitment from them. So I'm not, there's different ways to describe it, but fundamentally that's what's happening.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that the softer, more personal approach is always the best approach, and trying to, really connect with that person. It's like Covey says, seek first to understand and then to be understood type thing. That's the process. And it's the type of thing, Adrian, you're what, 26?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I had 10 years of sales under my belt before I really started to get good at it. So I'm a slow learner, I'll admit that, but it takes time. And as long as you see a progression, and as you said, you've obviously had a lot of success with it already, you'll continue to be successful. For you, it's just getting your head right. because you understand the tactics, you understand the process.
Yeah.
And I think maybe softening your approach to some degree, as we've discussed here, as you just noted yourself about your, maybe people do feel that you're challenging them.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it, but this is where the money is made in business. So it's good to have, these discussions and really give it a lot of thought and get as good as you can at this thing.
Yeah, it's hard for me to have a conversation about it too, because this is like the first group where I felt okay to be vulnerable about that kind of stuff. Because it's hard for me. It's annoying. It's just annoying, like why is that in the first place? But yeah, so I appreciate you guys listening. So.
But we appreciate the fact that you're willing to share and be vulnerable and open about it, because that's important, and I think that's the only way to ultimately get to where you want to be. Is really dig in and be vulnerable about it. But the other thing is, as I've mentioned to you before, and I've mentioned to a lot of people, is that one of the things that I always had to remind myself coming up is that I gotta, if I don't cheer myself on, nobody else is going to cheer me on. I gotta be my own best number one cheerleader. And that means reminding myself of what I've done successfully frequently.
Yeah.
And you're aware of your successes. I think for you, a lot of things, I could be wrong about this, but I think you're the type of person, you're a high achiever. You've done a lot in a short period of time. And I think maybe you have a tendency to think that things will continue to, that it's just a steady upward curve for you. And it's not. Aaron and I talked about this before. Business is a lot like this, and there's a lot of learning, and you hit pitfalls, and it's really the guys and girls who do the best in business are the ones who find the ways to work through those problems, because there's a lot.
Yeah, I get that. It would be nice if it was just a straight line.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then everybody'd be good at it.
I know.
Not everybody, but a lot more people would be good at it.
Yeah.
That's tough.
I know. And I'll probably bring it up on my next talk with you guys, but that's the other thing too. That's the first downhill that I'm realizing is my personal deficits when it comes to leading other people to where I want them to go, and understanding people and how to relate to them, and their own competing motivations between work and personal life and things like that. That's a lot of what I'm learning right now too.
And that's an incredibly valuable lesson, because the truth of the matter is the only thing that's going to keep you from getting where you want to be in business is you. It's you. That's it. Yep.
And, much to Wayne's comment, Adrian, when you came on the scene, you came on, like a bull in a china shop, but in the ways, right? You came in forceful, you were, engaged. And so you've got this history of closing 200 people. So your biggest hang up is just, it's your confidence. That's it. Some quiet, contemplative time might help.
Yeah. I haven't had that in a while, so I probably just need that.
Hey, we all need that, man.
Yeah.
You got to recharge. You got to find ways to recharge.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I don't know I've just recently started to explore it a little bit. Maybe some of the other folks on here know, or maybe you do. But meditation I found very valuable. It's hard in the beginning, especially if you got an active mind, which I'm sure everybody on this call does. Yeah. But boy, when you can get it, and it took me about 10 attempts to finally experience about what I think was maybe 45 seconds of real calmness.
Yeah.
I was like, holy cow. It was cool. When you can shut down all those voices in your head for a little while, you recover fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, food for thought. Listen, I want to go back to one other thing before we move on, and that's the issue about Michelle. What's your admin's name?
Oh, Michelle. Yep.
Michelle. Yeah. and that's, this is another personal growth thing, but I think you got the message here. What we used to do at NPE with all our staff is everybody we checked in with everybody every day. They had to send us an email. They sent it to Sean. I couldn't do all that. I was too busy with other things. But they sent it to Sean with just saying, here's what I did today. Here's what I did. And there were 3 questions. How'd you do today? What'd you do? What was the other one? And the third one was, how can I help you? But that's the important thing. I wouldn't do it via email. I'd do it in your case because you're dealing with a smaller number of people, but is to check in with them every day. And hopefully that will help you find issues before they become erupt, before they too big a problem.
You think every day is too frequent, or because I already meet with each person weekly as it is?
Yeah, this doesn't have to be a meeting. This just can be when you're, towards the end of the day, as you're seeing them, just, hey, Bob, or hey, Michelle, how'd it go today? Did you run into any obstacles? Yeah, that was the other one. What'd you accomplish? Did you have any obstacles? And how can I help you? That kind of thing. Okay. So you don't, maybe you could cut it short and it could just be, were there any major obstacles today? And how can I help you?
Yeah. Okay.
Kind
of
Sort of like when you're doing a desk date or succession session with somebody. That's pretty much exactly what I do. What's going wrong? What's going well? How can I help you more?
Yep.
I mean, exactly. That's just walking past your admin at the end of the day. Hey, how are things going today? Is there anything we need to address? Anything going well? Is there anything you need from me? And it's done. You're addressed. You're moved on. It just becomes part of your everyday thing. I like it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and you get really, one of the things that helps you do is it helps you solve problems quickly. Because you have to, because you'll start realizing that every time you ask them that there might be a problem, and then you got to resolve it. You can't let those things back up because then it's impossible.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's the other part that I'm learning right now is how to lead people. Yeah.
It's the hardest part. That's the hardest part of business, in my opinion.
I mean, and that's something, quite honestly, do it select with clients every now and then too. You'll be amazed what you find out from your clients about your facility that you didn't realize.
Yeah, that's actually happening right now, believe it or not. Actually, we're having a huge conversation about it, similar to like my first thread in this group, between some of my clients and I and other people as well. About, sometimes the nature of group training is that there's cliques and some people feel left out. So we're trying to empower all of our veteran members right now to deliberately and purposefully reach out to an unfamiliar face with a handshake and a smile and welcome them to the group that they're in. That's a mission that we're on right now. And I'm trying to find a way to make that a public thing in every session. And that's just happened as a result of Ed's death. A lot of our clients realize that we don't have that much time, so we got to really kick it up a notch and be there for each other.
I think that's awesome. How are you going about doing that?
It's just starting. It just started today, like 3 hours ago. But I made it started in a thread, and I've just been responding to people's comments. But then I made a post about it myself, and then my next step is to send an actual email about it, which. Just to clients. And then the next step after that is to tell the coaches, hey, before sessions or during the hands-in that we do, remind people about this. Or, hey, if you see somebody sitting on the side or on the bench alone, like talk to them and see if you can introduce them to somebody you already know and just strike up a conversation. And we've already been doing it where it's part of it's like a checklist. Whenever a person comes in for their first workout, we partner them with a veteran member so they help each other. We've been doing that ever since I started. That helps too. So we're trying to figure out ways to expand upon it and make it a thing. Like, strangely enough, like looking for kind of like a summary of who we are and what we do. Somebody said it, and for the life of us, we don't freaking know who, but they said every session, every person. Like, that was it. Every session, every person. And that like really hit home for a lot of people. So that's the campaign name, and that's what we're trying to instill in our members.
Well, a couple things you can do, Adrian, as far as this is, one, whether it be yourself or your trainers, they're personally introducing those new people to the group when they come in. That's what we make it a point to do. Is we introduce them to the group, and then I will try to make sure my trainers are pairing them with a different person each time for a while, so they get to know everybody.
Yeah, I like that.
That's one. Also, something going with your every person, every session thing. What I do is I make it mandatory for each one of my trainers for every session to touch, not physically, but to touch, have touch points with every person in that session a minimum of 5 times.
Yeah.
So they're saying that person's name, they're correcting them. Across the room, they're letting them know, you know, Adrian, perfect, that is perfect form. So everybody else is hearing it.
Yep.
And that creates that engagement. And those are things I require of my trainers. If I come in there and I receive, they're not making those 5 touch points with every single person in the session, they're not doing their job.
Yep.
So it's, again, this is part of being a leader. You lead from the front. You get to know everybody by name and address everybody by name. You require your trainers to do that, and it trickles down. It becomes part of your culture.
Yep, exactly. And we've been doing that ever since we started, because I knew that if we don't know people's names, we'd be screwed no matter what.
Most important words at any person's ear are their name.
Yep. You do 5.
Yep. Most important emotion to everybody is being appreciated. Yep. So if you're constantly saying their name and you're showing them that you appreciate them, you're way ahead of the game.
Yep. You do 5 touch points. We do 3. And then we take it a step further, where before the coach starts demoing the exercises in front of everybody, they say the person's name, they say it's their first time, and then we invite everybody to take care of that person. And then at the end of the workout during stretching, we give a round of applause for that first person and ask the clients what advice they have. It's kind of fun because 90% of the time they say come back, which is great. So that's good.
Yeah, that's exactly the way we approach it too.
Yeah.
I just want my trainers really, I want the 5 touch points. To me, you know, I want people to realize it, because otherwise, you're right, people will feel like they're being left out. And also what it does for your trainers or coaches, however you want to phrase it, is it assures that they're not concentrating on 1 or 2 people, and they're spreading their love throughout the entire group, which is important.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Now we're just trying to get the members to almost, in a way, do what the coaches are doing. Yep.
And I think you can do that by, when you pair them with a veteran, pair them with a different one each time, and they're going to get to know each one.
That's a good idea. I'll encourage that for the coaches to try, because right now we're pairing them with the same. Right now we're learning who the people are who are willing to give back in that regard.
Well, you kind of create that. If you pair them with somebody else, that other person, you know, they're going to step up and they're going to do it.
Yeah.
They're going to do it. Don't ask them. It kind of creates what you want.
That's true. Good points.
Hey, let me throw something out there regarding what you just said about, Adrian, what you just said about you're starting to discover who is willing to give back or who's eager to give back. You know, that whole, you used the trusted advisor business card idea that Aaron developed, and got some real good feedback from that. What about creating a small advisory group, official advisory group of those people, of those veteran clients who you know are interested in giving back, and utilizing them in a couple ways? Number one would be just maybe buying them lunch one day, taking them out or something, and just discussing your business and getting feedback from them, unfiltered feedback from them. Plus, they probably are the keepers of the gossip too, or at least know some, and they could share any negative and help you head off negative problems that way. But then also have them be leaders in your within your members. Just an idea. I don't know. Does that resonate at all? That's
funny that you mentioned that, because I've been thinking about that for the past 2 weeks, because I I don't know where I freaking saw it. It was in one of the groups. I think it was in the Virtual Fitness Mastermind, something like that. Or here, maybe, I forget. Somebody was talking about how invaluable feedback is, and I forget who was doing it, but he would meet with, like, was that you, Rick?
Over in Vietnam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would meet with them, right? And then you would just talk pretty much. Yeah.
I actually approached them first. I call them VIMs, my very important members.
Yeah.
And they actually go around calling themselves VIMs now. It's their little acronym for each other. And I will literally meet with them once a month and basically get their feedback, let them know what's going on, what's coming up. It makes them feel more valuable. Take them to lunch or whatever and do it. And they love it. They feel like now they're not just another member. They are a part of decision making. They're a part of the team. And it creates exactly what Eric was just talking about. And, you know, I explained, okay, we're getting ready to start another challenge. It's going to be really, really important, you know, with all these new people coming in, that we're really helping them, you know, getting them orientated a little bit better, making them feel comfortable that first week. And you'll be amazed. I mean, they feel like it's their business. And it's really, really cool.
Do you meet with them all together or one-on-one?
All together.
Okay.
They feel this is a big thing to them. It's a monthly meeting where we get together at a restaurant. I'll let them pick the restaurant. I pick up the tab and we talk about what's going on, what they suggest. I mean, that's how the colors in my facility were decided on. Was that group, you know, put out a bunch of, hey, I think these colors would be cool. And then we put it to the rest of the facility, rest of the members, and that's how the colors of our facility come about. That's how we decided what colors to paint it. So it was everybody making a decision on what was going on in the facility. It creates that culture, that community where they feel like they belong because they had a part in the decision.
How many do you allow in that group? And what if, so 2 questions, how many do you allow? And what happens if another client hears that they're a VIM and they're like, oh, why can't I be part of it? You know, like I'm not, like what if it grows from like 5, 10 to like 50 and it's like, okay, you know, how do you handle that?
Well, I have about 8 of them. I mean, it can be as many as you want. I have like 8 of them right now in there. And people have asked about it before. And I said, you know, these are folks that have been with me for a while. They really they've showed a lot of loyalty to the facility. And because they're around and they have their pulse on what's going on, maybe more than others, I rely on them to ask them things about what's going on in the facility so I can make it better for you. Ultimately, I hope you're to that point where I'm invite you to be a part of that group.
Yeah. It's
just like I have my advanced group that a lot of these ladies want to work to get toward. It creates another layer of something that they, you know, it gives them it's dangling another carrot out there for them.
Right. And then just because if I'm going to learn how to do this, I may as well do it right, I guess. Would it suffice to just make an announcement about that? Or should I just very carefully simply reach out individually to each person who I think it would?
You just want to reach out to the ones that you think are going to most effectively help you do that at first.
Got it. Okay.
Somebody else that you think, my God, they've become very valuable in here, you invite them into that group.
Got it.
Yeah. It'll feel more special that you've personally selected them.
And I guarantee you, because of it, these are all now ladies that have been at my facility 8, 10, 12 years. All because I started that about 5 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they're giving. Yeah. It makes sense. There's ownership to it. Literally there's, they're into
created ownership in everything that's going on.
Yeah. That's good. I'll just start doing that then. Because I mean, there's literally nothing to lose. So just so I know, I'm the type of person who, if I started this kind of group, anything is on the table. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. Is that kind of the vibe you have, or is it set?
Yeah. I let them know what's going on, anything that may have gone on in the past that I wanted to address with them, what I'm thinking about doing for that upcoming month or in the future as far as promotions or, you know, like I got them heavily involved when I started doing the charity thing.
Yeah.
I pulled them in, let them know what I was doing when we started doing the charity check-ins and all that. And, you know, all of a sudden I've got them reminding other members to check in more than as much, if not more than my staff. So I let them know what's coming down the road and what I'm thinking about doing, get their input. And then I ask them, are there any other things you see we need to address or that we can do that's going to make it a more pleasant experience for everybody?
Yeah. Okay. And then last question, because I'm just summarizing all this mentally because I'm going to do it. When I'm reaching out to these people individually, I reach out to them. I'm thinking about saying something like, "Hey, Vicky, you know, I want to start this very important members group. It's going to be just a handful of us together. We're going to meet once a month.
It's going to be the ones that I feel have been, you know, I tell them some of my better, more valuable members. All right, you don't want to necessarily say more valuable, but some of my longer
engaged, maybe more engaged members,
longer term members whose opinion I really value. That's huge right there.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk to them, you pull them aside, put your arm around them. Hey, I'm looking to start this. I would really love you to be involved with this because this is just going to be a group of the members, the ladies whose opinions I really, really value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
A suggestion: if I were you, Adrian, I wouldn't address those things in like an email or a text or anything like that.
In person.
Invite them to a personal meeting and then discuss it.
Yeah, none of this is anything that you send emails out about, you know, because when it all happens, there's going to be some topics come up that you necessarily don't want the whole facility knowing.
No.
Yes, right.
You don't want one of those emails drifting off into somebody. Oh, you need to see this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is all right like this.
Yeah, makes sense. That's what I've been doing, just like with the cards, the advisor card, same thing, in person. Yep, exactly. Okay, I mean, yeah, I can do that. And then if they ask me, you know, if they ask why the group is being formed, basically it's so that we can make this place the best it can be.
Yeah, and I want this place to be head and shoulders above anywhere else in the area, and I think you can help me get there. And so I value your opinion. I value your thoughts. And
I have a question because it applies. A hard question, but if in that small group of individuals, would it be worth mentioning like preliminary plans to like debrand, you know, my place? Like, would that?
Not until you make that decision. Once you make that decision, then you let them know first. You don't ask them about that because, I mean, this is something that, like we talked last time, has to be there with you, the rebranding and everything. Okay, but once you've got that decided and you know what you're doing and how it's going to go about, they should be the first to know about it.
Okay.
And remember, you're telling them they're in a trusted circle, so you know that the things stay within here. Okay, because it may not all come to fruition. So I have to be able to trust you. This isn't a thing based on gossip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if any of that happens, you also have the ability to have them step down because of a situation like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Got it. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Timely. I'm going to share my screen real quick. This hasn't yet been released, but based on that very idea, we've put this together. It's to be delivered here in the next week or so, but ultimately it kind of goes right down the path we're talking about. But the things the touch point, well, it's, you know, member contribution. You get the members making a contribution inside their own four walls, right? And it creates community bonding, right, within your four walls. And it's going to lead to greater retention across the board.
A multitude of sins.
And so the role of the mentor, right? What's their roles, right? What's twofold: provide moral support and emotional support, and maybe basic coaching cues if you decide to coach them up or not. And so we give a couple of scenarios, and then here's for your mentor, you know, the benefits for the mentor, benefits for the mentee. And so anyway, a big document, and what I probably need to do based on this feedback is to send it over to you two guys and maybe Eric and have you look it over, add to it, beef it up, your thoughts, and before we release it.
I'd be honored to do that.
That's a great idea.
I had a question about that, Aaron, because you brought it up. Would it be, well, for the group, would it be more impactful for the mentors if it was only like a handful? Like for me, for example, when you showed me that, I was thinking in my head, I can pick out 1 or 2 people from each session time and designate them as mentors. Or would it make sense to just kind of bring it up to everybody? Like, what do you guys think about?
No, I think you're going to have to hand select your guys. And what you'll find in the document is things to consider, like, but you've got to be very careful about choosing a male to mentor a female.
Yeah.
Vice versa. You're going to want to keep it within the same sex and typically within the same age decade, because a 20-something is not going to really do much for a 50-something.
Right.
And so anyway, I will send this over to all you guys and let you put your eyes on it, make some suggestions, and we'll dial it in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
That is awesome. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to it. That's just one piece of what Aaron's created. It's a big block of great content and a great SOP. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
All right, good. Adrian, great questions as always and great discussion that you stimulated there, so thank you for that. But let me move on here.
Yeah, thanks
Wayne,
for your time, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it's our pleasure. Wayne, now that you're halfway through lunch, let me get to you. Just give us an update. Let us know if there's any questions, issues we can help you with.
I'll be real quick. I can't wait to do the habit maker. You guys suggest trying to start it in the middle of the summer, or do you think it'd be better to wait till like September where people are coming back from vacations?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think you have to. I mean, I'll defer to like Rick, who's done a lot, and Aaron and Adrian too. All you guys who've done a lot of these promotions. I haven't done them myself as a fitness business owner, so timing-wise, thoughts on that?
Well, the thing I'm doing right now, I know somebody else is going to say something, but I didn't do it yet because I was in the process of unrolling a 5-week program. I usually do a 30-day program, but I advertise it as I'm throwing in a 5th week for free to make up for any vacations people might be doing, because it seems to happen a lot in the summer. People say that they don't want to do a particular period of time during a promotion because they're going to be out of town, and when you're going to do something different.
Yeah. Wayne, if I can help you, something that actually, and you can probably find a way to combine this with the habit maker, but there's 2 things I think in the summertime that still can get people pretty good. One is giving them that permission for time. Like we're doing a buy one, get one free for the summer promotion. And that seems to be working very well because we always have those conversations about travel and schedule flexibility. And I always say, hey, you can still use your month when you come back. It's fine. Like there's no pressure or, time constraint. That's one thing to consider. Because like what you just said, you're giving them that 5th week, If you can find a way to tie that into charity, like we do a lot of charity driven things and group things with our clients in the summertime primarily. It's good to do things outside. It's good to get people behind a good cause and remind them about who we're about. So if you can do that, if you can find a way to combine the time aspect and do the charity thing in the summer, that this would probably be a good time to do it. And then what you can do is in September, then in September you can drive to like a higher ticket like challenge or some program like that. Because then people are more focused on getting back into the swing of things because kids are back in school and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So my thought during the summer is doing a lot more internally while still driving some leads to the doors, obviously. Give them permission for time and then give them a cause to look forward to, because otherwise they're not really going to do it for themselves too much because they have a lot going on in the summer. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's outstanding advice. In fact, I was just making a note because what you just talked about there is addressing and overcoming a potential objection. And I agree. When you roll something out in the summer, clearly a potential objection is going to be, hey, I'm going on vacation. What do I do? Is this going to work for me? Blah, blah, blah. So what you could do, if, for instance, with Habit Maker, is in your video or somewhere on the landing page, you could just say, hey, planning a vacation, question mark. Here's, you can still, in Habit Maker, for instance, it's 21 straight days of stuff. You could say, hey, you can check in on Facebook. You can do your 30 minutes of exercise while you're on vacation or whatever. It could still work for you. But even the point is, address and overcome the objections. As you just noted, Wayne, that is a potential big objection, so it needs to be handled.
Okay, got it. That makes sense. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
You asked me to
Go ahead. No, you go.
Just to update, I had an orientation last night, and I went back and reviewed Rick's video about the fast action, and 100% of the people that came and signed up. Only 2 people, though, 2 out of the 10 did not say yes. Apparently, it's because I didn't call him a flake, like in the video. I just said it's a no-brainer, and if you don't do this, I don't know why you're not going to do it. But I think what happens is when I try something like this, I try to stray a little bit and make things in my words. Then if you stray too far off track, it kind of lose the magic.
Wayne, can I tell you something that Aaron taught me, and it's stuck with me ever since?
Yeah.
Your authenticity will beat a script every time.
Yeah.
Just do what's comfortable for you.
Yeah.
When I learned that from him, you can still call them a knucklehead for not signing up in your own words.
Right.
For me, it's funny because I'm only 26, so like I can be like my client's kid for all they know, Yeah. But I'll use childish words like dum dum or something like that, just because it's who I am. I don't, like don't be a goofball. And I'm like calling a 50-year-old a goofball, but they laugh because I'm a kid. It's funny,
Yeah,
like
it's endearing.
So find a way that you can be you. Find humor to it. That's the most important thing, because then you drive emotion, and all selling is emotion. All right, and then just have fun with it. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah, so let me address that though, because there's a really big important point here, and I 100% agree. Authenticity, that is the secret really to getting people to feel like they know and like you. Is being authentic. Because if you're not, people sense it. As Rick was talking about earlier, it might not be your words, it could be your movements, it could be anything, but people sense it when you're not authentic. So absolutely, authenticity is key. However, I would also say that there are certain formulas, certain processes that are absolutely proven. I think Rick's is one of them. How he presents that, he's tested it, it's proven to work. So what you have to do is you be your authentic self while working within that process. Because if you deviate too much, you try and reinvent the wheel, you can potentially screw it up.
Yeah.
And that's what usually happens is when people try to reinvent the wheel, they end up stepping on their own toes and messing it up.
Yeah.
But I agree with everything that was said here. Be you. No doubt about that. Be you. I mean, I have no problem telling people that. I have no interest in working with flakes. So that's the reason I do it, and really right there, somebody at that point is saying, no, I'm a flake here.
Yeah.
How many people really want to tell you they're a flake? So it works for me. I mean, there's other ways you can do it, but as long as you're staying with a script for the most part, that should not be an issue. You should be able to get it.
Yeah. Do you feel in any way like disingenuine for doing it, Wayne? Like, do you feel bad about any part of it at all, or no?
I mean, it's not comfortable. I mean, I've done the group close before. I just tried modeling some more of what Rick did, but I tried it just doesn't feel right yet.
Yeah. Find a way to humanize yourself. No one knows this about me because I'm a group person, but I'm a closet introvert. So when I tell people that, they laugh because no one guesses that. They're like, no way, you're in front of people all the time. I'm like, no, I'd rather be back there, like not talking. I tell people that up front though, because then they relate to me and they're like, okay, this kid's going to talk and he might stumble across his words, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, now that's a good thing. And I using that word, even just saying out front, I am an introvert by nature, that resonates with a lot of people because the fact is, I believe most people are introverts. I think it's a majority of people that are introverts. And I think we're all shy to some degree at some point, except for narcissists and outright real extroverted types, I guess. And so people can relate to that and they appreciate that. It's another way to, build relationships.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, because he's right. Everybody, we all are introverted to some degree. I mean, and I guarantee you, we're all different people at home than we are at the gym.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, I mean, at the gym, I have to be the alpha personality. I have to be the one that takes charge. At home and away from there, I'm much more laid back. I'll let other people make decisions. But if I did that at the gym, sessions aren't going to be completed. Business isn't going to be done. And I think if we all realize that, like what Eric was saying, use that. Let people know that. It makes you human to them. It makes you just like them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they want, is to know that, okay, this person understands me. He's a lot more like me than I thought.
Yeah.
That really helps when it comes to building those relationships with them, which is what selling really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's building a relationship.
Is there a certain part of it, Wayne, where you feel hung up on, like specifically?
I think maybe just the transition from the short presentation that I do, explaining what we do and how it can solve their problems, to that document or to that no-brainer close.
Wayne, if you want to sometime, we can get on a Zoom call like this and we can just role play together. I'll do it with you. You can do it with me. I mean, because the more times you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And I'd be happy to do that with you sometime if you wish.
Great. Thanks a lot.
But the great news is you closed 80%.
Yeah.
All right. 8 out of 10.
And a lot of times, I mean, there's people that didn't join at the end of my last challenge, but after they left for a week, after the end, they missed it so much, 5 or 6 of them came back and said, I missed it too much, I want to join.
Yeah.
So, they may change their mind. I don't know.
Don't let them change their mind.
Yeah, right.
I'm too mean. Sorry.
One thing that I learned, Wayne, in a group setting that really works effectively, after you've done, like you said, talk about the program, the way I usually approach it, if it's in a group setting, I just simply say, okay, now we're going to get to the part that everybody always asks about. All of you always want to know, well, how much is this going to cost me if I stay after the 6-week challenge? Well, I'm going to address what it's going to be and how it works right now, so we're all really clear on it. That's usually how I transition into it.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, and I'm making a note to show that what you should do is write down what Rick just said, because Aaron will tell you, any copywriter, good copywriter will tell you, transitions are critical. And it's the same in copywriting, it's the same in sales. You've got to make a smooth transition. That's what we were talking about earlier with Adrian.
Yeah.
And what Rick just did, what he just explained and gave the language for, is perfect, because he's acknowledging what people want. He's saying, I know everybody wants to hear this. And so he's getting their attention. Boom. They're like, okay, yeah, now he's about to tell me something. And he's sort of giving a prelude of what's to come. It's a perfect, seamless transition. And then boom, you go right into it. Love it.
Hey, Rick, can you send me that video that you have of what you do for the close, the group close?
Actually, we did it on one of the calls in here, Adrian.
Oh, okay.
You go back and look at, I think it's April 18th or 19th. The webinar we did there.
Yeah, I literally just walked through the whole thing in there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Got it.
All right. Wayne, anything else?
Yeah, just a couple things. Like Camilla, your wife.
Amelia, like the plant.
Camilla recommended a couple months ago on a phone call. I mentioned the issue of being tied up on one phone all the time. It's the only phone that I have. It's the business line. So today I got a separate phone line that's going to be the private line, and I'm making this line that's been the business and my personal that I've had for like 17 years. this will now be the business line. So, that was a big step.
Yeah.
That was a big thing to do.
Yeah.
Last time I talked to you 2 weeks ago, I had an admin that was a teacher that's out for the summer. She's on vacation this week, but she was here last week, and she put together a lot of numbers, and I'm going to give her a lot of tasks, like the things that we do in here, like tracking numbers and stuff to help follow up on, and that's helped a lot. But that's where I'm at right now. The good news is I do 2 orientations for people that can't make the one on Thursday night. I do one on Saturday morning, so I get to a second chance at it again tomorrow morning with a bunch of new people.
Good.
Awesome. Yeah, that's
all I got.
All right. Well, that's great. That's great stuff, and thank you very much for sharing it. All right, Rick, how about you? Anything you want to share? Any updates? Any issues we can help you with?
Well, my first thing is, Wayne, would you want to get on a video call and do some role playing sometime today before you do that tomorrow? Or you feel good enough about it tomorrow?
Do it, Wayne.
You're getting an awesome opportunity.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do me a favor. Are we friends on Facebook?
I think so.
Okay, if we're friends on Facebook, I'll send you over a link to my Zoom, and we can do this right afterwards if you want while we're both thinking about it. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay. As far as me, I'm finally coming up for air, like I told you earlier, guys, from the summit, and just actually downloaded everything for the Habit Maker Made Simple today. Was just starting to look at it when we got started here, so that's what I plan on doing, is digging into that this week, or this weekend, I should say, and digging into the local by referral and try to start really getting ready to get that all kicked off. Like I said, that's my big goal for the facility for leading into the fall. I want to be ready to roll, and if I'm able to launch it sooner, good. I'm not going to concern myself with the time of the year, because I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to make it happen regardless.
Yep.
And just, quite honestly, if it is a little bit slower in the summer, it's going to give you time to work out some kinks, but there's no reason to wait. The right time's now.
Love it. Love the attitude. That's exactly right. And that's exactly the mindset, is that get it out there, get it tested, work out the kinks, improve it, optimize, do it again.
But I think too many times we want everything to be perfect, and there is no perfect. And, just like putting together an online product, get it out there and you can always improve on it. Just like a group like this, a program like this, get the thing started and it gets better as it evolves.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. That's words of wisdom right there. That's gold. Well, good. I'm glad you did well with the business summit. That was, again, awesome to participate in and to learn from. I mean, I loved a lot of the interviews that I listened to. Were just really, really good. So looking forward to the next time you roll that out. It'll be even bigger and better.
I'm excited.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, then we are going to wrap it up. Thank you all very much. Really, another great call. The thing is, interesting thing, we get a lot of the same folks on these calls. I feel like the other people are totally missing out, to the point where I think I'm considering having these things transcribed and giving them out so people, and highlighting things, because I know that getting into a video sometimes people are like, it's hard to get into it when you're just watching it after the fact. But man, you guys, it's incredible what you share and help each other. And I think this is just such a valuable thing. So thank you all very much for your participation.
This is one of the best online, or the best online group I've ever been in. I can honestly say that.
It is.
Even though there's not as many people in here as you would like each week, I mean, these calls are awesome. I mean, the engagement of everybody in here is honestly phenomenal. It really truly is.
Yeah, and it's a tribute to the quality of people. So thank you all for giving so much, and it's wonderful. I get inspired. After I get off these calls, I'm fired up. So thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Facebook.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot. Wayne, I'll send that over to you now.